Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thank y'all, everybody who has been listening to the show tonight. We appreciate the support that we're getting. A lot of people are listening to us. We can see the lights are on all over the nation and the world. We got our fam listening to us in Korea that listens to us week after week. We got some love for y'all. We see the lights on in L.A., Atlanta, my hometown of Jersey City, New Jersey. Of course, right here in the capital city, RVA. Down in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. We got some love there. And we appreciate it. The love we getting in Chicago, all over the nation. So we appreciate it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. All right. Y'all. This thing going on here in Mizzou is how they say it, the University of Missouri. What we know that broke over the weekend is the football team has boycotted and decided that if the president didn't resign from his position as president of the University of Missouri, Tim Wolf is his name, that they were going to not play the game coming up this coming week. And the story broke, and you got a lot of people kind of caught off guard about, this boycott because they're like, what the hell has gone on? So I did a little bit of homework, and there's a timeline of incidents that have been happening on the campus of the University of Missouri for the last couple of months. And I'm not going to read them all, but there are about, let's see, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are about 20 incidences. The first being September 12th, culminating with the president resigning today. Like I said, I'm not going to read all of them, but September 12th, Missouri Students Association President Peyton Head publishes Facebook post about racial slur directed at him. That was on September 12th. On October 5th, Legion of Black Collegians members are targets of racial slurs by men on campus. On the 10th, members of Concerned Black Students 1950 protest during the Missouri University Homecoming Parade, blocking a car carrying the University of Missouri President Tim Wolf. On October 24th, a swastika using human feces is drawn on a bathroom wall in Missouri University's Gateway Hall. Concerned Students 1950 meets with Wolf. No issues are resolved. On the morning of November 2nd, Jonathan Butler announces he will go on a hunger strike until Wolf is removed from office. November 3rd, Concerned Student 1950 decides to boycott Missouri University services until Wolf is removed from office. Still more stuff in between. November 6th, Wolf issues an apology for his actions and inactions during the homecoming protests. On November 7th, Black Missouri University football players announced plan to boycott game until Wolf resigns. And then, of course, November 8th, football team, the whole football team unites behind the black athletes, officials, and some faculty issue statements in support of the students' decisions. And then finally, he resigns today. And then later on, the chancellor of the school ends up resigning. And so a lot of talk here, Tony, a whole lot of talk about what just happened on that campus. I want your thoughts. We can kind of, share our own perspectives on what has gone on here. I want you up first. What's your thoughts?
Not surprised by the treatment that the black students have been receiving since they're in Missouri. I don't think there's a whole bunch of black people in Missouri. But kudos to them for standing up what's right and not allowing it to continue. They can go to other schools and play, but no one should be subjected to that. So good for them. And I hope that they stay with it, and this really does, bring about a change.
Big bro, you know what's going on here. What's your thoughts, man?
Hey, I am happy. I mean, I'm glad that the football players finally stood up and did something. But I'm gonna go away from the football players and the actual coordinator. This gentleman, he was actually on hunger strike for 8 days. He was proving a point, and he looked a little weak today when he was on there because he hadn't had anything to eat and primarily nothing to eat and drink for the past 8 days. And I just am very, very proud of the fact that the younger society is actually taking up the torch and doing something positive instead of negative, instead of losing your mind and doing all this nasty stuff and then, using the platform they had to be disrespectful and things of that nature. They were very, very proud folks down there at MSU, and they're doing a good job. And I think that, it was an excellent, excellent point of contention from the way they actually did it. And it shows that we don't have to be stupid and ignorant.
Right.
And also, I'm going to say that I'm glad that when it goes back to the football players, it was the team and the coaches.
Right.
Think about it like that. I mean, these are black, white, Hispanic. Everybody came together because they said, you know what? Guess what? It's wrong. And we're not having it.
Right.
I agree. And that's the stand, the conversation we had last week. That's the stand that we needed, to get stuff accomplished. Like, it's okay to talk about it and, go on and on. But if you're not, making a stand, words, you can talk words all day. And unless you show action, it don't make a difference. And they show action, and it really made a difference out there. So they got out the problem, and now they can proceed on to the future.
Here's my problem. All of the rhetoric sounds good. I agree with you guys. You guys are making good points. But here's my problem. Nobody cared until the football team got involved. This guy's been on a hunger strike. The guy met with the president. Nothing happened. Ain't nobody give a damn until the football team got involved.
Money.
When the football team got involved and they decided they weren't going to play in the game that has a $1 million fine attached if that game is not played, that's when people started caring. And so my hope here is that people all over the nation in other schools, because obviously Missouri is not the only place that this happened. And so I'm hoping that people in other places are paying attention and realizing that it's not your protest that did this. It's not your marching that did this. It's not your screaming that you guys are treating us wrong that did this. It's not the fact that someone put a swastika with human shit on it that anybody cared how outrageous that is that did this. It was the fact that the football players, first the black ones, and then the entire team decided that we ain't going to play, which affected the money.
Yeah.
That it was a decision that was made by the board of trustees that said, you got to go. Because if anybody thinks that a guy who 2 days ago said that he's not resigning, all of a sudden got a hit to his conscience and now he's resigning, if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. And I got some water to sell you in the Atlantic Ocean. How about that?
Hey, Marcus, I agree with you. But you know what? Small battles sometimes, and I totally, like I said, that's why I made it the point to say first that I wanted to talk about the actual organizer of the protests and the organizer of what was going on, because he actually spoke today. But there was everybody on that football team. Everybody. There were black, speckled, pink, green. It was everybody on that football team. And, yeah, you're right. The protests didn't get it. But when you hit people in their pockets, like you said, something's going to make you change and something's going to make you do something. And whether it was – think about the civil rights movement. How many times did the marches actually affect the change all the time? And there were key things that happened during the civil rights movement that caused specific reactions. I mean, for me, the one thing that I see right now is I remember the one picture, and that's the picture that gets shown all the time with the dog being released on the that was a pivotal key point. To me today, when I saw the picture of all the Mizzou students or the football team and the faculty and the staff, because a lot of time, what a coach tell you, y'all better get y'all monkey ass out here and play this game.
Right.
But when them ball players said, nah, and what you going to do? You going to take our scholarships? Okay. When them parents behind the coach, them kids talking about, well, you might get put out of school. Well.
But you know what, though, man? I hear you. But we talking about 1950s and 1960s tactics in 2015.
But if it worked.
It worked.
It didn't work. It didn't work. I mean, this is the point. The whole point is the protests here did not work.
I thought you were talking about like the sit out.
That didn't work. You know
when
what
the
worked?
football players stopped and they lost
Right,
money.
but you do realize, it's different. It's about money. It's not about morality. I mean, what you're saying, is valid if we talk about 1965. When you are showing white people that other white people are sicking dogs on little black kids, you were able to reach the morality of the logical thinking white person. And yeah, that worked. It also worked when you marched in 1963 on the Washington steps. But in 2015, marching don't work. It doesn't work. What worked here was when the football team, and you can forget about their color. I mean, we can say that they were black because they were, but it's not even really about the fact that they were black. It has everything to do that they were on the cash cow, the football team. They are the ones. They didn't march. They didn't protest. They simply said.
But that was a protest.
Okay, then you can say that
Right.
it was a protest of
Right.
them. But to me, that's semantics in the sense that when you think of the word protest, you think of someone marching on the steps of the Capitol saying, "We hell no, we
No,
won't
but
go."
you just sit there and said in 1963 that might have been it. In 2015, that sit out.
I guess what you
Right.
I guess you're
Affected
you're
change.
missing my point, and let me be more clear on my point. It's not about them marching. It's not about them protesting. It's about them saying, we ain't going nowhere. So if their protest was from their dorm room where they said that they're not going to go on the football field, then okay, I stand corrected. But I think you guys understand my point being that it had nothing to do with them people camping out on the campus, you know what I mean, making themselves a nuisance, and those people having meetings with the president and the president not doing nothing and issuing an apology for not doing it. Ain't got nothing to do with that. Ain't got nothing to do with that. And that ought to show people that if you want to affect change, you got to affect these people's money.
And that's what I was going to say, that we
Exactly.
talk about that all the time on the show, is
Exactly.
that's how we get to them, and is their pocket. And if this is what it took to get to the pocket,
That's what it
again,
took.
we
But
got
here now is your template.
we got to where we wanted to be. They got to where they wanted to be, and that is to the catalyst to the change. So
now the next step is the other places in the country who are seeing these things. What y'all gonna do?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because
you
it's
can't be that school.
Because it's right. I mean, and you got to know that Missouri cannot be the only place that these things are going on.
Of course not.
And when you look at another story that happened over the weekend, when the University of Alabama, when they were playing LSU, had a banner that said something along the lines when they were playing this weekend, and we're going to finish what Hurricane Katrina couldn't finish.
Yeah, that's
like
crazy.
that's outrageous.
Yeah.
Absolutely outrageous. Now, this was a fraternity house that was off campus, but the truth of the matter is, if you are going to be supporters of that kind of rhetoric, then we got to hit you in your pockets. You know what I mean? We got to do something. And if these college students can show this kind of protest and say, you know what, we understand that our performance is going to affect you. And so you are going to do the right thing by making some sort of changes, or your ass got to go. There has to be some sort of mindset towards people of power. I don't even want to say in the black community. I'll just say black people who have money. You got to see that these kids got it figured out.
And you don't have to have a lot of money. I mean, we look at the basic necessities. You don't have to be rich to make a difference to change your spending habits.
Yep.
There's the little, ethnic markets you can go to, when it comes to buying your clothes. I do a lot of shopping online from like vintage boutiques.
Right.
Because I try to support, black owned, and I like vintage clothes.
Right.
But, you don't have to be rich to really have an impact. And I think that a lot of people feel like, what is my little, $50,000 a year? What difference can that make? And it can make a lot.
No,
It can make a lot. You take $100 away here and there, yeah, we can make an impact.
And I'll take it a step further. A friend of the show, Warren Ballantyne, who you guys know how I feel about that brother. He joined us on the show in the past. He right now is leading a group economics, movement where folks are putting their money together and actually trying to do something. I invite everybody to go to the website www.truthfighters truthfightersministries.com, www.truthfightersministries.com, and take a look at the group economics plan that he has been talking about on his show, because it speaks to what you just said, Tony, about how people don't realize the power that you have in your own money. And the fact that all you got to do is decide that you're not going to spend it. But if the four of us make that decision that we're not going to spend it, and if the four of us encourage four more people to not spend, now you got a problem for someone who we have a problem with. And now we have a lobby and a little bit of power where we can start getting what we want to get, and we can start affecting change, because you got to start somewhere. And I think a lot of times we get discouraged because we think that things are going to always be the way they are. Well, they of course they're going to always be the way they are unless we are the ones who make the changes. And I think that's very, very important. And these college students, these football players are the ones. And I think we need to be really, really clear that it ain't had nothing to do with them protests on campus. Those people camping out and those people, complaining to the president and all of that kind of stuff, it had nothing to do with none of that stuff. It really didn't. Because if the football team didn't step in and say, you know what, we ain't going to play, knowing that it was going to be a money thing, then we would have never even heard this story. And I think that's very important. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't make that point.
And I agree with you. But I still say that you made the point, and I think we're kind of in the same realm when we say this. They got it right. Those young folks, those ball players, that coaching staff, they got it right. They understand, what's the word, economics. If it don't make money, it don't make sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
So, I said that because, I still want to say that, guess what? Most of those kids, what are they, how are they getting paid besides their scholarships? What are they what are they actually getting from the college? Well, because we know that college students don't get paid to play ball. Right. I don't think that's right, but they're not getting paid to play ball. What made that team cohesive enough to sit there and sit out? Were they paying attention to some of the things that were going on? So I won't sit there and say that his hunger strike didn't actually affect a change, because we don't know. I will have to say that I believe that the catalyst was the open dialogue, the starting, the showing the public that, guess what? Yes, we've done this. We've gone in this direction to meet with the president, and he brushed us off. We've gone here to sit out and protest on the line, and they brushed us off. Okay, so the guys sit there and say, well, guess what? If we don't play this game, they're going to get hit with $1 million fine. Do you think they want to come up off that change?
Nope.
Or they're going to get rid of this dude?
They're going to get rid of this dude.
And so I think it's a catalyst. I think it's a give and take.
Yeah. No, we're agreeing. I think we're agreeing.
Yeah.
We're agreeing. We're coming from different angles, but I think we're agreeing, because I think what you're saying, and correct me, I don't want to speak for you, but correct me if I'm wrong, from paraphrasing this wrong, but I think what you're saying is the protests, the marching and those things that happen on the campus were the precursors to the football team seeing this and saying, hey, something's going on here. And those folks actually paying attention and realizing the power that they have, where they could say, you know what, we can take what the campus kids are doing even a step further and saying, you know what, we ain't going to play the game.
Yep.
We're backing what's right and not what's wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can dig it.
That's one way to, get your point across, like take the money away, because they all about money. You take their money away, that's it.
No, I mean, I think that is very, very clear. I mean, I've always said that every single stride that we've made in our community over the years has always had a financial component.
Yeah.
From the slavery abolishment by Lincoln, that wasn't some benevolence by him. He didn't want to free the slaves. He viewed us as subhuman, just like a lot of the white folks did in those days, and some do now. That was about, crippling the South.
Right.
You know what I mean? The bus boycott in the 50s. You know what I mean? All of this is economics. And I think that if we, as black people in this country, understand the game and quit allowing ourselves to be pawns in it, then we'll start having some sort of advancements. And until that day comes, man, we're going to continue to be in the same position. If you look, we prospered when we were separate but equal. Right. We were prosperous because we needed each other and we relied on each other. We talk about Uber. You know, we were Uber. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you needed to ride, you called the homies to take you where you needed to be. If you needed some stuff, you couldn't go to, you know, a white man's store. Right. So you had to rely on the people in your own community. And I think I'm not saying that we need to be separate but equal now. But what I am saying is we need to go back to those kinds of thought practices, those thought processes and principles to help advance the plight that we have in this country. Because at the end of the day, all we got is us, man. Right. And we got to have that mentality is all we got is us. You cannot take care of your neighbor if your house is a mess. Right. You know, and that's no disrespect to any white folk that's listening. No, that's the truth. This ain't about y'all. You know what I mean? I'm not disrespecting y'all, but this ain't about y'all. Right. Because you have the privilege of your white skin in this country. And that's the essence of what white privilege is about. You know, you walk around with that white skin and you get the benefit of the doubt in many cases where I will not. Right. And you cannot understand that unless you're either very sympathetic, been around black people, or just a person who studies socialism. Right. Or sociology, rather. You were going to say something, Tony?
Oh, no, I was just saying, you know, with regards to, you know, having a financial impact, that begins with being able to manage our finances first.
Yeah, no, we got it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. All right, y'all, we're going to take our final break of the night. And when we come back, we're going to rant and we're going to close it out.